does growth impact inequality, and how does it help to solve the problem of inequality? Because it seems that actually since the capital share of income is increasing, and since the fact that bargaining power of the workers is decreasing because of market integration and other global phenomena, then it's actually a factor that increasing inequality rather than increasing. And also the case of Sweden, it seems to me that we had first equality and first redistribution, and these the basis for a society in which, for a dynamic society, and then growth came. And what do you think about this?
So, I mean, I guess I'll stick with what I said, which is, I didn't mean to write, direct intervention in the Social Security tax and redistribution system out of the script. I just thought I'd write in the other part. If you're a young person in Italy about to ship out to another country, because that's the place you're going to have entrepreneurial opportunities, then that seems to me to be part of the growth agenda and part of the inequality agenda, for sure.
Sure.
I mean, I wrote in this thing that'll come out on Tuesday morning in Il Sole, what I'm worried about is that Italy's major export is about to become really talented, creative young people, right?
Yeah.
So, and you don't fix that with a social security system. You may make it a little easier to get through, but you got to get rid of some other rubbish stuff in the way.
Yes,
and so, it's kind of like you don't have to choose, right? Not either or. And there's even different dimensions of the growth agenda. I mean, it is true that inequality, as it is manifested in certain forms, directly negatively affects growth. So, for example, fairly broad-based failures in the education system, right? That'll adversely affect distribution in all kinds of ways, and it'll certainly adversely affect growth. So sometimes they're the same thing almost in terms of origin, but now when I said that people spent a lot of time on the social security system, that didn't mean that they spent too much time talking about redistributing income and wealth, because a lot of the discussion is about social services, which are really important, education, health, and other things, where you're on balance. European countries on balance do well, right? So that's a strength rather than a weakness. But I think just keeping in mind that having a fairly open-ended growth agenda is important. And then there's these other factors, right? If you have a big income inequality problem and no growth, you're going to have a hell of a time dealing with it. Sure. Because basically everything that goes to one person, it's a lot easier to send the increment, to the lower end of the distribution than it is to send something that you took from somebody else.
And so to conclude, do you think then, like, we know the Gatsby curve, like social mobility and inequality are what seems quite correlated. Do you think so equality in endowments is an important policy objective in order to achieve this dynamic society?
If you count endowments, what the public sector supplies you, yes.
Okay.
For sure. But but that means basically what you have to do is, as best you can, replicate the opportunity set that the higher income groups would have regardless of what the public sector does with a set of policies. If you have severe inequality to the point where parents have trouble, raising a family and so on, or in developing countries where they're illiterate, there's a kind of disadvantage for the children of those people that is not, you can't really completely overcome it, right? If nobody reads books in that house, then, so I think the right way to think about it is reduce those inequalities to the extent you can. And I think you can do substantial, make a big dent in that. But that's a tall order. I mean, problems in the public education system it's surprisingly widespread. If you spend a lot of time, as I do, going around from country to country. I mean, it's not just developed countries. It's not just it's there's something going on underneath that. That's a real problem.